So here at Adoptions from the Heart, we really encourage women and men who are, trying to navigate an unplanned situation to attend our support group, which I know you have been a huge advocate for the last, what, 7, 8 years. Can you share a little bit about that group and the value for folks who are maybe considering adoption but don't know quite if that's the right decision, in addition to maybe birth moms who have placed and are just struggling and needing a space to express themselves and lean on others, what that has meant for you and what you can say to folks who may be considering joining the group.
It's you asked the right person, because if you're going to get a glowing review of that support group from anyone, it's definitely going to be me. It at first was just a nice kind of escape and safe place to be able to talk to other people who I didn't have to explain my experience as a whole to, for them to understand what I was talking about or the feelings I was having or issues I was going through. While every single one of my support groups, situations are wildly different, and our outcomes are all completely different, the support and strength that I get from that group of women, and we've had birth fathers pop in here and there too, it's invaluable, honestly. I mean, another birth mother, upon getting to know me and knowing the things I like and the things I'm interested in working towards and all that, found a advert for an art show that she thought I'd be perfect for, and just kept kind of hinting at it and pushing me and saying, you should try, come on, you've got to try this. You haven't tried this, anything like this yet. And because of her, just about a month ago, I won first place for the 5th year in a row at that art show, which led me to a billion other things. And anytime I feel inadequate or like I'm not good enough to be doing that, so I don't know why I'm trying, it's women in that support group that are the ones that are holding me up and celebrating me. And whenever there's something that goes wrong, like I feel like I'm not visiting with my son enough, or when I feel like I'm messing everything else up in life, it's those women, that support group that I fall into and unload. And almost always I get not just support, but really great advice that I think that no one else in my life could have given me, really, because no one else in my life, to be honest, other than my sister, knows the entirety of my life with the adoption and all of the things that came with it and happened around it included, because that is a safe and completely locked down environment for me to be able to work through the stuff that you're feeling and that you're going through, and help navigate the sometimes rocky or awkward waters where you're like, I don't know if it's okay for me to reach out this often, or am I doing too much? Am I not doing enough? How do I approach this? Like, there's never ending support and advice. And I don't think I've gone to one single meeting where I felt like anyone was judging me or looking down on me, because like I said, my story is way different. I chose, to take more steps back and let them have at least the first year of their time, as a family, once they adopted Isaac, without me in it, because I wanted to give them space. And sometimes I found myself feeling really, really guilty for that. Like, God, there's got to be something wrong with me. Why am I not reaching out more? Why am I not going and doing these things? Because, these other people are, and that's what people think you're supposed to be doing. And that support group is what got me to realize that, like, no matter how you do this or how much you're involved or not involved, it's completely up to you how you approach that, how you move through it. You can tailor, it's customizable, essentially. Like, your adoption experience is going to be what you make it, honestly. And Adoption from the Heart kind of like helped me shape that and understand that. And that support group was absolutely a requirement for me to be able to wrap my mind around what I had just done and what the future was going to look like for me and for my son and his moms. And there really aren't adequate words in the English language to be able to express to you any and everything I got out of that support group, and that I continue to get, because like I said, it's been 7 or 8 years and I'm still attending regularly. I am still friends with almost everyone that was there the first time I went to group. And even through COVID and having to go virtual, and then, helping women that aren't from our state or area, but still welcoming them in and making sure that they know that no matter what their situation was, why they chose adoption, or what they're, currently working through, that we're there. Because it is a situation where you can, if you don't, have support naturally built in, like a family or someone that's around you all the time, these women, for some of us, they're the only support and contact that we get, that we can, talk about this kind of thing. And for me, they are a requirement. That support group has helped me navigate some things that I would have had no idea how to approach without them. I mean, you always also, I think a lot of people don't understand that not just with that support group, but with your social worker. I mean, Amanda's continued to support me and help me and lift me up when I was still struggling really hard after trying to pull my life together after being devastated by addiction. And that support group and my social worker continue to support me and help me figure out how to get through all the bumps in the road, whether or not it has to do with my adoption or the subsequent things that happened afterwards. I still have my social worker in my life at least weekly, but usually daily, checking in on me, and those women from that support group and the men too, because we've absolutely had birth fathers come in as well. They are an integral part of my life now because they were the people that were there helping me navigate one of the most difficult decisions and times in my life, and the kind of like accidental bond that we ended up making and that we continue to make with new members that come in. So at some points in my life, it was literally what was keeping me alive and reminding me that I needed to stay attached to the earth, because these women reminded me that everything I was feeling and everything I was going through was absolutely okay, and that I had every right to be feeling that way, or, you know, moving through life the way I was. And since adoption can make you kind of feel like you're alone and you're not sure if you're making the right decision because of the stigma that, you know, society's attached to it, that support group, for me, it was a huge part of being able to finally come to an understanding with myself that I wasn't alone. It didn't need to feel isolating. And even though my experience didn't look like anyone else's, at least at the time that I knew, it was still exactly what I needed it to be and what, you know, my family and I were good with. And there's nothing wrong with me for approaching it in a completely different way. And I still felt supported and included and honestly loved by every single person that's in that group. A lot of me getting to a place where I'm okay with me and all my weirdness had to do with those women being there to support me while I stumbled through it.
We've seen an increase of women and men reaching out that are already parenting a child and are struggling with deciding whether or not adoption would be the right plan for that child that they've already bonded with and had for maybe 6 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years. Any advice of them making the call? Because, you know, adoption at our agency is not just when you're pregnant. So I know you've had the opportunity to meet with other birth moms who have placed older non-newborn children before. Thoughts on that and just advice you may have for folks who are considering making that call to us?
I think that, I mean, if you're considering making the call and reaching out, obviously do it, because even your own preconceived notions are probably not going to be entirely accurate of what, you know, the actual feeling of making that decision and moving through it will be in reality. But I have had the honor of, you know, connecting with birth moms that have placed slightly older children that were, you know, still toddlers, but they still had time to bond, and also being close with and speaking with a woman who placed a child that was much older in, you know, the adolescent preteen, you know, ages. And in my opinion, it is a different brand of hard. It's still making the choice to not, you know, parent your child. The reason that we are all thinking about adoption or choosing adoption or even just considering it is because if at any point, whether it's during pregnancy or after the child's been born, you have the self-awareness to look around and look at, you know, your situation and your child's life and go, I am not pulling this off. I'm not adequately being the parent that I want to be for my child. You should feel zero shame in reaching out to see what the options are to better not only your life, but your child's. Because as their parents, that's what we do. We only want the best for them. We only want to be able to give them everything that we can or that they want or that we never had. And it's something that society doesn't really like let us say out loud to a lot of people at first, but like however you need to accomplish that is completely fine. If after, you know, you've already had your child at home and you're looking at your situation and your child's life and you know it's not what's best for them, if you think that it might be better for them to be, you know, parented and raised by someone else, then you have every right to look into that, consider it, and not be judged for it, because not everyone's parenting, you know, situation is going to look the same. And while it's not the norm necessarily to, you know, place a child for adoption after, you know, you've already had them with you for a bit, it does happen. And it is still completely acceptable to reach out and find out if that's an option that would work for you, and what you could do to move forward, even to look at it. Like, I feel like you should mention, can change your mind. There are time frames in place and what have you. It's like, not like reaching out to adoption from the heart is going to lock you into some contract where you'll not get to make your decision about where you want to go or how you want it to move forward. There's no shame in just trying to figure out how best to make sure your child's life and your own is going to be the best you can make it. And there's no need to, settle for what isn't the best for you and your child, simply because society's kind of like tricked or shamed us into all thinking that there's one way to parent, and if you don't achieve that, then you have failed somehow, because it's not a failure to choose adoption, whether it's during your pregnancy or 3 years in or 15 years in. When you're aware enough to look around and go, I'm not accomplishing this whole parenting thing the way that I thought I would, or that I knew I wanted to, and my child is, suffering to any degree because of that, there is zero weakness and there should be zero shame in looking for an option to do what actually is best. And you also shouldn't forget about yourself in that equation. I feel like, because of the guilt that society's placed on the thoughts around adoption, a lot of birth parents will forget that, like, you still matter. Your mental health, your well-being, the quality of your life, it still matters. I know everyone, wants everyone to think that once you have a child, they're your first foremost thought and you should be most concerned about them. And yeah, you absolutely should be. But there's a reason when you're in a plane crash that everyone tells you to put your own oxygen mask on and then help your child or others around you, because you matter. You need to take care of yourself too. So, like, I don't want anyone to feel guilty or ashamed that your quality of life is suffering as well. And that also needs to be addressed, because it's not just your child's best interest. It should also be with your best interest in mind. And if it's not cooperating with you and your quality of life is deteriorating, and you know that it would, or even you think it might be better for someone else to parent a child so that they can thrive and have an amazing life, and so that you can do that too, that's still a completely acceptable reason to look into it. And then if you decide to choose that route, because there is no wrong way to love your child. It's just that sometimes it doesn't mean that you parent them. I mean, I love Isaac the same amount that I love my children that I am parenting. But in that time frame when, I was going to be bringing him into the world, I was just ill-equipped. The best thing I could do for him was to let him be loved and raised by parents that could do what at the time I couldn't. That it also afforded me the opportunity to pull my stuff together and stand up and be capable, be the woman that I do wish I could have been that way, 7, 8 years ago when he was coming into the world. But can't change the past. You can only make choices to change the future. And honestly, choosing adoption, despite the fact that it was hard, I was already parenting a child. My oldest, it's now 13, but at the time was still very young. And I took all my energy and effort to be able to pull off parenting him. And I knew adding another child into that would be catastrophic for me and both children. So the best thing I could do for my child, the best way I could love him and give him what I wanted to as his mother, was to place him with his family that he's with now, because I knew they would love him the same and do more for him than I could even imagine at that point in my life. And then it also freed up my ability to be able to focus my energy and time on how to best parent my oldest son and how to take care of myself. And now when you're looking back on it 8 years later, all the things that I was unsure about, all the decisions I was making, and the points in my life that I was moving through, you're kind of unsure no matter who you are or what position you're in life. You're unsure of your decisions until you can turn around and look and say, oh wow, that worked out. Look at all I've done. And when I turn around and look at everything that stemmed from my decision to place Isaac, it might have been hard, and there was a lot of things I had to work through and move through and emotionally and mentally deal with. But now when I look back, it completely fits together. It was the right decision, and you get repeated confirmations of that as you get older and actually get to be involved with your child still. You get to see the beautiful family that they're evolving into, and you also just need to remember that you matter too in that. It's a reason it's a triad. Like, the birth mother matters the whole time, the whole way through. I mean, if you're looking into adoption and you decided you want to go with open, it's easy to forget the birth mother once, the birthing part is over. And you shouldn't feel guilty for not wanting to forget about you and your well-being and your quality of life. And if you are choosing to place a child later in life, there is still zero shame you should feel in that, because you're still doing exactly what a mother should or a parent should, which is putting your child first and then also taking care of yourself. Because if you in your situation can't do that, the bad choice here would be staying in a situation you know that it is toxic or isn't what's best for you and your kid. There's no shame in making a choice that legitimately improves both of your lives. And that's what we're supposed to do as parents. It's just sometimes that choice means that we're not going to be who's parenting them, and that's completely okay.
Any final thoughts, Allison? Anything you feel like you want our community to know about your experience, or, just somebody who has been through this before, during, and after? It's been 8 years since you chose placement for your child. Obviously, your awareness and just your ability to see things full circle have been so helpful for folks to hear. But anything else you want people to know?
One of the things that I was most scared about when I first came to your agency was the fact that I was in the throes of addiction, and the fact that, there could be any litany of things, wrong with my baby when it was born. And I was so scared that, why am I even doing this? No one's going to want, my baby, if all these things might be wrong with it or what have you. There is always a family that is hoping and praying for the chance for you to show up and to love that child. I want everyone to remember not to be scared or ashamed, because the end goal here is to not just improve, but essentially build the quality of life that you want for your child and for you and your family moving forward. And I also want people to remember that LGBTQ families spend most of the time spend a lot longer on those waiting lists than man and woman, family, what have you. And so do single parents, but they are still on that list. Single parents that want to adopt, and LGBTQ families, just give them a chance, because the love and support your child will feel in those families is astounding. I mean, they know how to love under all circumstances better than most people, and they will love any and every child that someone would give them or place with them. And I feel like they get overlooked a lot, or they people sidestep it because they don't want to be involved in political issues that surround it. But those families are just as deserving, and they're amazing. And God, do they love my son. He is so happy, and him and his sister have literally live a fantasy adventure novel as a life. I mean, getting to watch them turn into the family they are now has been one of the greatest honors of my life. And I can't imagine now picking anyone else to be his moms. But I want everyone to just, if you are looking into adoption and, you want to look at the kind of families that you would, possibly be placing with, give it a shot and involve the LGBTQ families that are in those binders, because they spend a long time on that waiting list, just hoping and praying that someone will, pick them or trust them enough to place their child with them. And they are amazing people. And the single parents on there hoping to adopt, I'm sure everyone that's watching this has a friend or knows at least a single parent that's doing an amazing job. So there's no reason why a single parent couldn't be really amazing at, adopting a child and loving it the same amount that we all do. There's no wrong way to love your kid or to parent them. And if you end up choosing adoption and you go this route, it will be okay. You haven't failed. You haven't made, bad choices that are making you give up your child. You are doing exactly what a parent should, and that's making the best choice for your kid and expanding your family, essentially. Because, while I'm not as open and emotional and outward showing of my feelings, I've bonded in a way with that family that is indescribable and completely invaluable to me. They have supported me and watched me grow into the woman I am now, and it's at least in large part because of them giving me the opportunity to know my son was loved and taken care of and being raised by an amazing family. So I was able to focus on myself. And if your situation is similar to mine and you find yourself looking around and going, this isn't the life that I wanted for me or my kid, it's okay to make this choice and then focus on you. It doesn't make you selfish, and you shouldn't be ashamed, and you certainly won't be judged here, because it's your life. You're the one that has to live it and lay your head down at night. So you need to do what is actually best for you and your child. Those are your choices. And honestly, choosing adoption, no one can convince me otherwise. It is the best choice I've ever made, because with all the information and, you know, what my life looked like at the time, things could have gone so much worse. When this is honestly the best case scenario I could have even imagined or hoped for. And while it's overwhelming and scary at the beginning, you will have so many people supporting you and holding you up through the agency, that you'll meet through the agency, and it will be okay. You're not failing. You're not broken or lost. This is just a different option that you might have. And there will be no shortage of love or support in this agency or with the people that you will eventually, you know, bond with or grow to know or love. And if you do choose this route, we sound so damn cheesy, but we all really do kind of become a family after a while. You know, we understand each other in a way that most people can't if you haven't been through this. And all of us were scared and overwhelmed at the beginning, but we will help you get to a point in your life where you can look back and know for certain that you made the right decision. Because if you do choose this, you will second guess yourself. But the support and, you know, the connections I made through Adoption from the Heart, the people I've met while working with them, they constantly reassure me that I made the absolute right decision. And even though it felt lonely at first, now I don't think I could feel lonely or isolated, at least where this is concerned, if I tried. So if you do make the decision and you are reaching out to Adoption from the Heart, know that it's okay. And if you want the support, we're here and we're proud of you.
Well, thank you, Alison. It's always nice to hear from you. I think in all the times that we've interviewed you, I will tell you this is the healthiest and happiest I've ever seen you. You just seem so at peace with life. Not that you're perfect, nobody's perfect, but you just seem to be in a really good place. And this was one of my favorite interviews, actually, that I've ever done, because everything you said is what we talk about on a daily basis. And I know that your words are going to reach so many people. And I'm just proud of all that you've accomplished, because you are truly a different woman today than the woman that I met. And I love that woman that I met, but the woman you are today is just, you've come so far, and you should just really be proud of yourself.
I am, but you should also have a little bit of pride in that too, because you were a huge part of me even getting the opportunity to become this woman. And there's been a lot of bumps along the way to get here, but that was the first good choice I'd made in my life at that time. And I fought you along the way sometimes about, I don't want to go to prenatal appointments, I don't want to do this, I'm failing. You always had a way of bringing me back around to myself and reminding me that I can do this. I just need to stop being so scared and get up and do it. And I've made mistakes, but I'm honestly, now I can say I'm incredibly proud of who I've become. It took a lot of hard work to get here, and there were some really scary parts along the way, but I really truly am happy. And if I hadn't chosen adoption and been able to get clean and then rebuild my life from the ground up, I wouldn't be on the planet. We all know that. I wouldn't survive much longer. And making that first phone call to you, it kicked off what ended up turning into a really amazing journey to get here. And I am really proud of myself, but you should be proud of being one of the first people that supported me when no one else did either.
Well, thank you. It's always nice to hear that. You know, you're the reason why we do what we do, and we're just really proud and happy to have you be a part of our community here at Adoptions from the Heart. So thank you very much. Guys, if you want to check out other episodes, like I said, Alison has interviewed with us before. If you want to hear more about her story, we have other interviews from other birth parents. You know, they're remarkable to be able to share their personal experience, and we're just touched that you're vulnerable enough to share that. So thank you so much. Continue to tune in to future episodes here at Adoptions from the Heart TV.